All right, so the plan is to finish. The Mishnah Berurah is on the bottom of the Mechaber. This is the Mishnah Berurah. This is the Mechaber and Ramah. Okay, so the plan is tonight, Mitzvah Hashem, to finish Shin tests, and then we'll have next week to discuss some practical aspects of Boyer that perhaps we didn't touch upon in the inside learning. So just different issues brought up by various Achronim, and then maybe we'll take one day just to review the whole Siman. So then we'll have one other week, which I'm not sure if we should start Shin Chaf, which is a long Siman, or maybe do a Hilchos Pesach for 1 week. I don't know.
What we're going to touch is the service body lobby after us.
Yeah. We'll discuss that next week. When we discuss other things that the Achronim discuss that are not in the Shulchan Aruch. In the Shulchan Aruch itself, it's not really discussed. The Taz discusses it, and other Achronim. Okay. Misanenes. Shenoson bachar de lasananoy. If you have a machaber, yeah. If you have a strainer that you put in it mustard to strain it. And the Mefarshim explained that you put this mustard in to the Misanenet before Shabbos. Mustard, the seeds are what people use to make mustard out of seasoning and dip or whatever it's called. And the pods, which is the subin, like the cover, what the seed grows in, is actually an edible item, but it's not normally eaten. So therefore it's considered, the Alter Rebbe explains, it's considered borer mid'Rabbanan. Just like we had in the beginning of the Siman, if you take off the wormy leaves from the regular leaves of lettuce, because you could eat them b'shas adchak, so it's not actually psoilus, it's only derabanan. But nevertheless, it is also on Shabbos. So it's talking about a case where you put in the mustard from before Shabbos, and it's sitting there, and the mustard is, the seeds are going down to the bottom, and the pods, right, the subin, the cover of the seeds is staying on top. Mutter liten babetza. You're allowed to put an egg into it, because they used to use egg to color the mustard. Nowadays, if you look at the ingredients of mustard, you'll see yellow 5, maybe yellow 6, I don't know what they're called, artificial colors to make the mustard look bright yellow. Because naturally, mustard is not bright yellow, it's more of a darker yellow, maybe even brown, depending on the type of mustard. But just like now, they want it to look brighter. So then too, they wanted to make it look brighter. So they used to use natural food coloring, which was the yellow of the egg. So how do they do it? They would put the egg into it. In hachardal. What would happen? They would crack the egg onto the saneta, onto the strainer that had the mustard in it. Then they would puncture the yolk of the egg so that the yolk would go through till the bottom, where the seeds actually go down to the bottom. So it would go into the bottom together with the seeds, giving them the color. And the top of the egg, the white of the egg, would stay on top, because it has it's thicker. It's thicker. I mean, the yellow of the egg has that like a little membrane that holds it together. But once you puncture it, it comes out. It's more liquid. The top, the white of the egg is more. It's more like a jelly. So that would stay on the top. That's allowed. Why?
Okay. It's the offering. You know, you're doing this for what? Just for the cow, basically.
So you're saying it's two types of oichel.
I'm not doing it to actually to separate between the chelbon and the chelbon. Just doing it for the sake of the chelbon.
Well, you are doing it to separate because you don't really want the white down at the bottom because that is gonna make it lighter. You want the yellow color. You don't want the white color. But you started to say something that it's two types of food. All right, two types of food. Is that good or bad? Two types of food. Does that help us or make us problems?
Not because it's not solid.
Right, but two types of food also. You can't choose between two types of food, really.
But you're gonna left with what you want, basically. Even if the chelbon is gonna go down, you just color the mustard, basically.
But are you coloring?
You're left with what you want. I don't know if you can say you're left with what you want, especially because you're using a mesanenet. I don't know. I understand, but the egg you're adding now. The egg you're adding now. So here's the beer. Let's actually say the Alter Rebbe because Alter Rebbe explains the beer. It's easier that way instead of me having to explain it. Yes, question. Go ahead.
Coloring on Shabbos.
Ein tzviya ba'ochlin. Ein tzviya ba'ochlin means there is no prohibition against coloring food.
With food, I want liquid.
What's the difference? No difference.
With food or not?
What do you mean?
I can't think of an example. Not with food.
No, because you wouldn't want to eat it.
Right. You wouldn't want to eat it.
You're coloring it with paint.
No, food coloring.
Food
You don't
coloring.
need to color it,
It's fine.
but it's fine, right?
But you can,
No problem.
design a cake. Can you color water?
If you're going to drink the water, yeah.
Just drink it.
Only if you're going to drink the water.
Design cake, not dark tea, water.
As long as you're going to drink it.
Design cake.
What does that mean?
It's meaning color of the cake. You would put the happy birthday or something.
No, you can't write on Shabbos.
No writing.
No writing.
Color, yes. Color. Flowers.
Flowers you can make. No.
So which color you just blue, red, dark, white?
Yechavet, I'm pretty sure.
But why would
You
you?
have it, but
So, Albert, let me ask you, the hashish is like, the question is on boil between the chelbon and the chelbon or between the eggs and the mustard?
No. The chalban and chalban is the issue. Chalban and chalban is the issue.
But if you're not going to use, you're not doing it for the purpose of any of those to eat afterwards.
Oh, so that's the Surah Al Ever says, yes. That's correct, based on the tour. Just want to make sure I got the right name.
Now, is there rarely two foods that you just want separated, but you don't specifically, you want both?
Yechavet, yeah, Yechavet is Función. I'm sorry, one more time.
Is there or two foods that you just want separated? Lav dafka, not specifically one or the other, rather you just want them separated.
What does the class think? What does the class think? Now that we're up to class number 6 on Hilchos Borer, what does the class think?
about what question?
Can you separate two types of food if you're not planning to eat either of them right now?
No.
You're planning to do both of them.
No.
You're planning to do both.
Oh, so what's the problem?
No, so it's fine, right?
Why not?
Okay, that's what I thought also.
Oh, I thought you planned out.
For now? No.
What was your question?
No, you're not allowed to, you wouldn't be allowed to do
No.
borer for later.
So what do you, I don't understand your question.
No, stop. Someone told me that you wouldn't be able to separate two foods.
If you're eating them both now,
Right.
why not?
I don't know. Someone told me that. I said I think it's the case.
No, if you're eating them both now, it's no problem. The question we had was if you're eating them both now, but you're eating one before the other, do you have to?
That has to be. If you're not eating.
No, it could be you're eating both now, but you don't care which one you're eating
Well,
before
that
the
was
other.
my case.
And in that case, for sure, you can separate them.
What if you're eating one then the other?
So then we had a machlokes in the Dir Shur. I remember who said what. Some said you have to dafka take the one you're eating first, and some said no, because it's all in the same meal, so it's all considered derech achila. So whatever one you do is fine.
Would a good eight said it'd be just to eat the first bite with both and continue?
Eat what? Oh, maybe.
Separate
Maybe.
the first bite with both.
Maybe.
So there's no board by separating the yolk from the white.
Correct.
How long does it take the?
Why? We're going to see in a minute why. Yeah, go ahead.
How long does it take the master to get the color from the yolk?
I honestly don't know.
So they're gonna eat it right away. If they don't eat it right away, it's gonna be white.
No,
No?
it's not boyer. Not boyer. It's not boyer. It's not considered boyer. I'm going to tell you why now. We're going to see why it's not boyer. It's not that you're doing boyer, but it's okay because you're taking what you want. That's not what it is. It's not considered boyer. Now, if you're not planning to eat it on Shabbos, you can't do it anyway because you're preparing for after Shabbos. So you're planning to use this mustard on Shabbos, but it's not for immediate use. It doesn't have to be for immediate use because it's not considered boyer. The whole thing about immediate use is if you're taking the good from the bad, but because you're doing it for immediate use, it's okay. That's if you're selecting good from bad, that's for immediate use. But if it's not considered boyer, for example, let's say things that are not close to each other. We said it is not considered boyer, although Raphael sent me something interesting. I said in the past that something is considered mixed if it looks like it's mixed. If it's far enough apart that it doesn't look like it's mixed, it's not considered boyer. Raphael said that Ben Zion Abba Shaul, who's a big Sephardic rabbi, says that the shear of mixed is the size of the item. If you have two items or three items, if there's a space the size of each item in between, then it's not considered mixed.
Less than that.
Less than that is considered mixed. If you have soda bottles and they're next to each other, and there's less than the size of one soda bottle between them, they're considered mixed. Until now, we never had any opinion that said any amount. It was always if it looks mixed, if it doesn't look mixed. But I'm just giving you an example. If it's far enough apart that it doesn't look mixed, then you can separate it no matter when you want to use it, because it's not boyer.
So the yolk and the clar are not mixed.
It's not considered boyer. It's mixed, but it's not considered boyer. We're going to see in a minute. Now, Derb explains why it's not boyer. I'll just give you one more example. When we say that you're allowed to take food from food, the same type of food from food, like you can take big pieces of fish from small pieces if it's the same type of fish. That's not boyer. So you can do it in the morning for the afternoon. You do it at night for the next day because that's not boyer. You understand? Anything that's not boyer, you don't have to use right away. So here we're going to see why it's not considered boyer at all. Yes.
You know, you got a plastic and in Publix they have a big soda. You know, they put it in the plastic.
Yeah.
So it's you got and in Shabbat you're allowed to take this plastic and you put Coke, Sprite, all the dry drink, or it's called. And then somebody will take it Borer.
If you have like a pallet of soda and you want to take out one that you want, but you don't want to use it right away, that's a shaila. Is that a shaila boyer?
If you don't drink it right away.
If you're going to drink it right away, it's no problem anyway. But let's say you don't want to drink right away. You want to prepare it. You're going to take it out now, put it on the table, and you'll drink it in a few hours. Is
there a minimum size, a maximum size for boyer?
Are you allowed to do that?
What do you mean by maximum size?
Well, if I have, I mean, I'm just thinking that there's a big difference between let's say, one can that I don't want out of 6, putting it aside because I only want to take 5 to the table. What you mean is if I want to take 5 cans to the table, I rip the packet open, take out one of them, and then take the other 5 to the table.
Well, for
Or
the same,
bottles.
there's no Shiloh anyway. There's no Borer on the same time.
Okay.
If
Or if they're assorted ones.
if they're assorted ones, yes.
Boy,
So that is a problem.
what do you consider it mixed opposite? Because they are close to equality, considered mixed. All right.
Because you're not really extracting.
What makes me think that maybe they're not mixed is not this so much close so far in that case. It's just that it's because it's in that container, which has a separate little compartment for each one. I wonder if they're considered mixed. I actually have the Shaila sometimes on Shabbos morning because I have a big thing. I don't know who's been in my house, but there's like a big thing that has wines in it. What are they called? You put. No, it's like you keep one on the side in it.
Wine rack.
Wine rack, thank you. So it has, like different shelves. I don't know, maybe like 10 different shelves with 3. You could put 3 wines on each shelf. So sometimes I want to put in a wine in the morning to chill. Maybe that's considered already for immediate use because I want to chill it. It's not like I'm not preparing it. You know what I mean? In order to chill it, I have to take it out now. I don't know about that. But in any case, what I want to
What sort of wine do you chill anyway?
Want to
White wine.
I only chill white wine, exactly. I don't chill.
It depends what you like.
No, I'm chill. I'm taking the one that I want. Obviously, I'm taking the one that I want.
One opinion that says you could, what I was saying, there's a not for me yet, but meaning as long as however long it takes to prepare it, that's what you're allowed to do it for.
Yeah.
The son in this paper brings up, and he doesn't even bring down another opinion. He says that you have as much time as the husband is coming home from shul.
Yeah.
So if that's 10 minutes, then they're gonna have to wait. And if it's or maybe
Yeah, but plus the prep time itself. That goes without saying. I'm saying if it takes you an hour to make the salad, then and you know when he's coming out of shul, you can start an hour before.
because you can only start for is by the time to leave shul.
Check if he means that. It could be he means that it should be ready for the time he leaves shul. You know what I'm saying? Something that's you're gonna be ready right away, then you do when he leaves shul. But something that takes time, the post can say you can start before.
Actually, he actually brings on a case of a Shabbat Chatan where there's a lot of people, so he says that you're not allowed to start before, you just get more women.
Okay, so that's an opinion. The Chazon Ish holds that too. But a lot of poskim say that you can start earlier because the whole point is that as long as when you're finished, you're going to start eating right away, that's all considered derech achid.
So
Who says that?
if you have a lot of things to prepare, each one might take some time, not that much, but in total, it could be more than the time when someone's leaving shul.
Right, I hear you. That I'm not sure about. If it's different things. It could be that different things doesn't help before.
I got a question on what you said about the sodas, they are different color. That could be related also to fruits, that they are in a fruit bowl. They are different kind of fruit. Are you allowed to take one of them, or that would be more?
Excuse me, because I just have to look this up. I'm sorry. Moshe says that as long as it's going to be ready for the soda, it's okay. There's no specific amount of time. And that's also, yeah. He actually brings it for the Mishnah Berurah himself later on, the Tofish Aleph. Moshe Zaman Auerbach. But he brings Chazanish, says, no, you always have to start right before, even if it's a big
It
meal.
does say in a meal though, then even if it's for the end of the meal, which can take hours later, the beginning of the meal is considered
Already, yeah. Shomeh. I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing about the terms about the soil and the different colors. Asking about the food. Am I allowed to take it out? Take the food, like I have different foods. I have to take one and leave it there for 2-3 hours.
No,
Okay, I need to eat it right away.
you can only take out what you want right away for eating right away, yes. Yeah.
Does that apply to preparing it?
What do you mean?
If you think it out, but you're making lunch or whatever it is, and you're not eating it right away, you're preparing.
As long as you're preparing it to eat right away. You don't have to eat it right away. As long as you're preparing it to eat right away, which is either when the men leave shul, or if it takes a long time to prepare, the amount of time that you'll be able to finish by the time it's time to start the meal.
Yellow and white, because you want to eat the yellow.
You don't really want to eat the yellow. You want the color of the yellow. That's the thing.
You actually want to eat the yellow.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the mustard. You don't put about the mustard. You like the raw eggs, use the shell to separate it.
If you actually want to eat the yellow, it's not so simple. But let's first learn out there.
Separate the good from the bad.
Let's first learn out there.
How about you separate the good from the bad? You want the yellow, not the one.
For the third time, let's learn out the Rebbe. You don't mind, please. Urtalag bia achavis.
Where are we?
We're on Chaf. Murtalag bia achavis.
I think Chafal, no?
Yeah, Chafal, sorry. Ein mesar nesachar me'asuban shaloi. אף על פי שגם הם ראויים לאכילה, ואין הסובין פסלס כלל, ואין בהם בשום בורר מן התויר, אף על פי כן עושים דבסובים דשנראה כבורר אוכל מתוך הפסלס. הויל ומסנן כדי לאכול החרדל להשליך הסובין. Mustard seeds may not be filtered from their bran, even though the bran is also edible and is not considered as waste matter at all, and therefore filtering it is not forbidden as separating according to scriptural law. Nevertheless, doing so is forbidden according to rabbinic law, because it appears that one is separating food from undesirable matter, since he's filtering the mixture in order to eat the mustard and discard the bran. So that's a little introduction to the whole sugya, to explain that when he talks about the mustard being in the mesanenet, that it has to be that you did it before Shabbos, because midrabanan you're not allowed to filter the seeds from the bran on Shabbos. Avalam nos nacharol mesanes me'erev Shabbos. Mutar litin bo beitza. The sakin maracharol mestanan besoicha. Aval pi shechaman yer lamata im acharol. Achalban shu kosher nishal ma'ilem apsoides. Ein nir kavoyer ocham duch apsoides shechaman achalban shneim oichlin heim. Leinem mesanan achalban achalban machmat shu chavis lechos achalban v'leis achalban. Ela machmat achalban moy lesakin maracharol le'achalban. La'af shemashlich achalban apsoides oichel achalban im acharol v'kalmokin. Kimin shasim in bishvil achila bishvil tikun amara in nira kabar ochum tepselas kimin tbevashnem min ochel echad heim. I'm going to say the English here, and you have to pay attention so that you'll understand the reasoning for this halacha. The Machaber did not say the reason. The reason is explained in the Torah and in the Magen Avraham, and the Alter Rebbe is bringing them down and explaining them. Listen carefully. If, however, one put the mustard in a filter on Friday, it is permitted to place a raw egg in the filter on Shabbos to improve the appearance of the mustard that is being filtered in it. Even though the egg yolk descends with the mustard and the viscous egg white remains above the undesirable matter, nevertheless, it does not appear to be separating food from undesirable matter because both the egg yolk and the egg white are food. The person is not filtering the yolk from the white because he desires to eat the yolk and not the white, but rather because yolk improves the appearance of the mustard while the egg white does not. Even though he will discard the egg white with undesirable matter and eat the yolk with the mustard, it does not appear that he's separating food from undesirable matter since he's not filtering for the sake of eating the yolk, But in order to improve the appearance of the mustard and in truth, egg whites and yolk are both the same type of food. Okay, it sounds complicated, but I'm going to say it very simply.
I have a question here. What's going on? In other words, we're putting this this mustard bran into the sieve or strainer on Arab Shabbos, and
Yep.
so now we're pouring the breaking the egg over this on Shabbos. So
Yep.
so how are you getting the edible stuff? I mean, where is it? That's I don't see it because
falls down. The mustard seed falls down within this strainer, so that it ends up on the bottom, as does the yolk of the egg. So in the end, you're going to end up with seeds and yolk on the bottom, and you'll use it. I don't really know how you eat mustard seed because we don't eat the seeds. We soak it. We make mustard out of it. I mean, somebody does, not me. But you can't obviously make that mush on Shabbos.
Yeah, people do eat mustard seeds.
Okay, there you have it. People eat mustard seeds. So that's what he's doing.
I cook with mustard seeds. You fry them first, and then you eat them whole in foods. So
Right.
I make a potato dish with it.
Okay, well, obviously he's not frying them because it's Shabbos here, but he's going to eat them. Yes.
So then how is this? Even though you're coloring the maybe we talked about it before, but even though you're coloring the mustard seeds, which fell through the strainer on Erev Shabbos, yet I don't understand the logic of why you can crack the egg over it because you're doing borer, even though it's for food coloring.
So borer, I'm going to explain right now, but coloring, Eitan just asked before, and the answer is you're allowed to color foods on Shabbos because the color of the food is not considered important. But
here you're doing borer
so
to color the food.
Listen carefully.
Hold on one second. So basically, before you put the eggs, how come the mustard, the soybean doesn't get separated? What was over there in the filter before? So why when after I put the eggs, the mustard's going down?
No, the mustard's going down already. The mustard's going down already. The seeds are going down already, and the subin is staying on the top. In addition, also the chalmon is going to go down, and the chalmon is going to stay on top.
Doesn't matter. The mustard was over there before Shabbos.
So
It's staying in place in the filter. It isn't like getting it separate by himself until Shabbos.
no, it's already separated. What's the problem? It's already separated.
Before you put the egg.
Yeah.
Separate to where?
To the bottom. The seeds fall down to the bottom, and
Take the filter out, basically.
yeah, eventually, when it's finished, you'll take it out.
So basically, the soybean and the mustard already separate before you put the eggs.
Probably, yeah, or maybe they're still in the middle. I don't know. Either way. Okay, listen carefully. The white and the yolk, the white and the yolk are shnei minei oichlin. The two types of food. Sorry. They're the same type of food, not two types of food. They're the same type of food. When it comes to the same type of food, you're allowed to separate one from the other. Yes or not? Correct or not? Correct.
Yeah.
So now,
Even if one's big, one's small, one's yellow.
Yeah, but you're using a strainer.
so what? So what? You're not doing separating. You can use a strainer to jump on Shabbos. If it helps you jump. You can use a strainer to, I would say hit your kids, but it's not a politically correct thing to hit kids anymore. But I'm saying,
Jump. What do you mean to jump?
I'm just saying random words.
Okay. So let's say you had big pieces of fish and little pieces of fish.
If you're not doing any malacha, you can use a strainer. Separating between two types of the same food, two parts of the same food, is not a malacha. It's not boyer.
So what you're saying is that if I have big pieces of fish and little pieces of fish, let's say, and then I have a strainer which would let the little pieces of fish fall through, then that's okay because they're really they're the same thing.
Correct.
Um,
Correct. I mean, we had basically the same concept yesterday when we discussed the fact that you can use a strainer to strain clear water. You're using a strainer. Doesn't make a difference. The water is clear, so you're not doing an active boiler. The fact that you're using a strainer to make yourself feel good, to do an extra straining, doesn't make a difference. With me? Okay. So again, actually, I had to answer honestly that there is an opinion that says that you can't even separate two types of food. That's the Taz. So how does the Taz explain this? We'll have to get that in a minute. Let's just stick with the Magen Avraham for now. The Magen Avraham says that you're allowed to separate between two types of food. As such, be'etzem, you should be allowed to separate between the egg and the yellow, regardless. Nevertheless, the Torah has to explain, because you're only doing it to change the color, not because you want to eat one more than the other, that's why it's allowed. So what does he have to say? Color, eating, what's the difference? It's the same type of food. But listen carefully. Magen Avraham explains. If you would be eating one and throwing out the other one, so because you're treating one as food and the other one as psoilus, so that makes it appear that it's two separate things, because you're treating one as food and the other one as psoilus, as junk. So therefore, it would be forbidden anyway as mechzi kaboyer. It would look like boyer. Sorry?
Why call it two type of? It's the same type of food, two separate type of food.
No. So it's one food. It's one type.
Maybe they can carry the same name, egg and egg related, but it's two separate. Two type of fish.
One part.
This one is salmon. This one is tilapia. They both carry the same name, but they're not the same type.
Since you insist, I'll read Chav Beis. He doesn't explain it, yeah. But no, it's considered the same type. It's considered the actual same food. The white and the yellow of the egg is considered the actual same food. It's not like tilapia and salmon, which are two types of food. White and yellow of the egg are both egg. Just like a big and small.
It's more of the same egg. Same egg.
What, if it would be a different egg? The white of one egg and the yellow of a different egg would be a difference?
No,
Would be a
I'm saying
difference.
it's not a different type of egg or something else that would be different. Same egg, it's not even a different animal.
Yeah?
I asked this before, if I could leave the job and eat the white. And you said it was allowed. By having a plate, I can just separate, it's not going.
Right.
So this applies, that applies to this case as well.
It should apply, but the Alter Rebbe says a little bit more than that.
So basically, if you're gonna say it's the same food, it can help us to be learning to separate between the yellow and the white, because I'm just cutting it to half.
In theory, yes. In theory, yes. But the Torah says that the reason it's allowed is because you're only using the yellow for color and not for eating. So the Magen Avraham says, what do I have to say that for? It's the same type. And just say there's no bar with the same type finished. Simple. No. Because you're eating one and you're throwing out the other. Excuse me. So you're treating it that one of them is food and one of them is not food. So therefore, it looks like boyer.
What's this halacha coming to teach us? I don't understand the chiddush. I could simply separate the yolk out of the white, lechatchila. I separate the yolk out of the white by letting the white spill out and keeping the yolk in the eggshell, and I could then just plop it directly onto the mustard seeds. So why are we coming up with a very convoluted way of doing things? We must be trying to demonstrate something. I don't understand what that is. because the mustard seeds have already been separated since before Shabbos. What we're saying is that we pierce the yolk. The yolk is going to be runnier than the white, so the yolk falls through the strainer, and the white then remains up because it's more viscous. It just seems like a very convoluted way to do things.
You're asking why do they bother doing it in this complicated way? Why didn't they just crack the egg and throw out the white and throw in the yellow? That's your question?
That would be a much easier way of doing it. The mustard seeds were separated from the husk before Shabbos, correct?
You definitely put them in the strainer before Shabbos, and they started to actually separate. I don't know how long it takes, and I don't know, at what point you're putting in the egg, either while it's still filtering or after it's done. I don't know, and I don't think it makes a difference.
Okay, so I'm wondering, do we have to do this? Are we doing this because it's at the same time, or it just happens to be in the strainer or underneath it? I have to say, I don't actually understand how the filtering process works. Do we put it in water or something to filter it?
No.
It's a sieve. I'm just trying to picture the contraption that does this. Is it like the seeds are very small and the husks are very big? So the sieve, so you sieve it. In which case I don't understand, because that would involve a shaking action, presumably. I can't see that it would happen by itself.
It must be like what the rabbi said. Maybe the process of sieving the mustard is you put it in there before Shabbos, but maybe it takes a while for everything to go through. I mean, I'd have to Google that and see if maybe that's it.
I don't know exactly why they did it this way, but if it's a bigger chiddush that you can do it this way. So you're asking, why does it tell us it's chiddush? Because it's a chiddush. Why do they do it? I don't know why they did it. But why does it tell us that you can is because it's a bigger chiddush. To say that you can crack the egg and take what you want and leave behind what you don't want, that's not a chiddush.
Maybe now when with the subin you have the chelbon that is also type of food, and you have to remove it. You're not allowed to take the psoret out of the good. So if you want to remove the mesanene, that is, you move it with food. This one you're not eating it, so you're allowing it to separate it between the Otherwise, you're going to be whitey the solid or ochel.
I don't understand what you're saying. One more time.
If you're not going to use the old head, what happens is that you have the white one also, because the white is type of food.
Yeah.
So the type of food mixed up with the solid. Now
Yeah.
you want to remove it, you're not removing only solid, you're removing food also.
Therefore, what?
So if you wouldn't, you're going to have to remove the mesanenet, the filter, and it's only the solid, and you're taking solid out of good.
It's already separated.
Yeah, but you can't just solid.
Hold on. It's already
You have to
separated.
take the good out of the bad because Shabbos already.
If it's already separated,
But
you can't separate it. If it's already separated, why not?
It's separate, but it's still like together.
I like it.
Isn't that just the way of eating?
It's not the way of eating. This is with the mesanenet. This is with the filter. It's not the way of eating.
Okay, I've just watched on YouTube. Apparently, you need to people do it in a colander with a fan, and there's something to catch it underneath. So if you say put it on your windowsill, then eventually, if you shake it around a little bit, the lighter chaff stays up the top, and the seeds drop down underneath.
Okay. Amen.
If you put this stuff in the sieve on Arab Shabbos, could you move your hand around it on Shabbos to strain, or that would be borer there, wouldn't it? I mean, it's there, but then you're moving it around by hand on Shabbos. That would allow
Help the mustard seeds go down? No.
Yeah, you
Right.
could do that.
No. Okay, I'm not seeing a pshat in the Meforshim that I have handy here, so I can't tell you why they did it this way, but this is the way they did it. This is the way they did it. I don't know why. But the point is that that the chiddush is that you can. Why can you? Again, here's the explanation from the Alter Rebbe, based on the Magen Avraham, that since both are really food, not only are they food, but they're the same type of food. What would make it usher is the fact that you're throwing out one and leaving the other, which might make it appear like one is psoilus, one is oichel. But really, since you're not interested in the yellow for its eating it, but rather just for its color, so therefore that separation is not significant in terms of making one oichel and one psoilus. Again, maker adin is the same oichel. Why would you make it aser? Because you're keeping one and rejecting the other. That seems to show that you don't care for one and you only care for the other. Yeah, but over here you don't really care for either one. You just want the color of one of them. So you're not really establishing it as oichel versus the other one that's psoilus, because you don't even care for the oichel aspect of it. That's the explanation. So coming back to your question on it, you were asking. What were you asking?
What was I asking?
No, I think Ronnie was asking about cracking it open.
Okay.
Yep.
Purpose to eat the yellow. Nothing to do with the mustard.
Okay, let's say you want to eat the yellow. You want to eat the yellow, yeah.
So you let the white to just to drip into a kelly or to the sink, whatever. That's if you want to use it. You don't want to use the label. And
You separate it.
You want to eat the yellow, so what are you going to do with the white?
use it later. Or,
Oh.
or to throw it, whatever.
Okay, so
whatever is going to be allowed to do it.
So here's the thing. If you're planning to eat them both, and you want one now and one later,
Later means like even after.
even after,
After
even
Shabbos.
tomorrow, give it to somebody else who likes it, you don't like it, but you're not throwing it out. So then it's considered the same oichel. Considered the same oichel.
There's no problem.
So there's no problem however you do it. Whether keli, one from the other from the one, makes no difference. If you're throwing one out and you're keeping, you like one, the other one you don't like and you're throwing it out. So then it looks like you're making one into oichel, one into psoilos. Then you have to follow the rules, oichel, psoilos, to eat right away. So if you want to eat the yellow and throw out the white, so you can crack the egg, back and forth, throw out the white, crack it, like you're cracking it, keep the yellow, and eat the yellow, that's okay.
And if I keep the white,
I just want to explain, the fact that you're using the eggs is not considered a keli. You understand? Because there, the egg is where it's in, you know what I'm saying? You're just...
Actually, Chaf Beis seems to say otherwise. I think I don't understand why it says. Therefore, it appears undesirable in relation to the egg yolk, which is eaten in a raw state. Hence, it's forbidden to separate a raw egg white from the raw yolk for the sake of eating just the yolk, according to rabbinic law.
The yolk, that is correct. You can't separate the white from the yolk because that's the bad from the good. But the yolk from the white you can do. Like always, the good from the bad you can do.
if I kept,
Oh, so you can do that, right?
The good from the bad you can do.
I kept the white and killed it first. Then after Shabbos, should have white. I don't throw it right away. So why?
What's the question?
Instead of like dumping it right away, I kept it in a cup, the white one also.
And then what did you do? I don't understand what you did.
And then I eat them with yellow.
Which should you take from which?
The white. Let the white leak into a cup.
So what's the problem? If you took the yellow out of the white, it makes no difference what you do with the white. If you take the good from the bad and you're eating it right away, it makes no difference. The question is, if you take the white from the yellow and you don't want to eat the white right away, so then it's okay as long as you're keeping it to eat later. Understand?
What if I change my mind?
I don't know. I don't know. Too complicated. Too
On the
complicated.
subject of raw egg yolks, which are commonly served with steak tartare, there's no problem with making steak tartare on Shabbos as long as you chop all the other vegetables beforehand, right?
I'm not really familiar with this whole concept, but what do you have to do to prepare steak tartare besides eggs and vegetables, which I'm gathering from what you're saying?
Well, the vegetables have to be chopped extremely finely.
Yes. So that you do this. Yeah, go ahead.
And then you just chop the meat up. The meat is chopped fairly small, but you're allowed to do that on Shabbos, right?
You can chop meat on Shabbos. Fine, yes.
So raw meat is generally muktzah, but it's not if you're going to make steak tartare.
That's correct. That is actually a halacha in Siman Shinches in muktzah. If you want to eat raw meat, it's not muktzah. Yes?
I made steak tartare the other day. Everybody loved it.
In the time of the Shulchan Aruch, by the way, they ate raw meat. But fish, they couldn't imagine. Raw fish, total muktzah. Nobody eats raw fish. Nowadays, the opposite. Raw fish, everybody eats. Raw meat, some people. But if you eat raw meat, it's not muktzah. It's the halacha. Okay. Yes.
What were their issues with making this? What was the process of making? Sorry to go back around an hour. But what was the initial process of making this mustard seed egg separating dish?
Mustards are seeds that grow in pods. Like a pea has a pod around it. So they would separate it by putting it in through some kind of strainer, and the seeds would fall down and the pods would stay on the top.
Before Shabbos.
That you have to do before Shabbos. Now, if you had this strainer, which had pods on the top and seeds on the bottom, or maybe it was still straining through, I don't know. So then they would crack an egg onto it, and the yellow would go down to the bottom and color the seeds yellow, and the white would stay on the top. That's what we're discussing.
The white is not thick enough, it's not thin enough to go through the seed.
Exactly. It's not just the seed. I think it's the actual brand, the actual pods that hold it, because it's like a thicker kind of thing in the yellow. The yellow, I mean, it has like a little membrane that holds it, but if you pierce that membrane, you're allowed to do that on Shabbos, yeah. You're allowed to, I mean, it says so. If they did it, if they were allowed to, I guess they did, I don't know.
I just saw that, I thought this was going to answer the question, but I don't think it does, that meaning I thought it was going to answer the question of why they would prefer this method over that, or why they're giving this method as an example, that cracking an egg is also good from bad. Meaning you're cracking the eggshell, you're taking the good from the bad, so you have to do it all.
Somebody says that?
I believe that's what he says.
I think you're talking about a cooked egg. Must be talking about a cooked egg. I think you're talking about a cooked egg.
Okay, let's see.
What's the nice to the other nuts?
He says, "Perot bali klipa chitzonit tufet, whatever. עוטפת את הפרי, אך אינו חלק ממנו, כגון שור, בצל ורימון ושאר מיני פירות וכן ביצים, נחשבים הקליפה והפרי כשני מינים מעורבים."
Yeah, but he's talking about who eats raw eggs. He's talking about a cooked egg.
He says ביצים.
I know. Cooked eggs. Cooked eggs have shells, you know. Boiled eggs. Hard-boiled eggs.
Hard-boiled eggs.
Hard-boiled eggs, you can only peel them right before you eat them. That's what he's talking about.
Would it make a difference? Over here, who eats raw eggs? We're eating raw eggs right now.
I don't think klipa is considered mixed with a raw egg because it's hard and that's liquid, just like we had yesterday.
You're saying this example is only when it's raw, only when it's a hard boiled?
I believe yes. I don't believe a hard klipa is going to be considered mixed with a liquid inside.
Good question.
If you want to ask it, I don't. I don't think so. I don't, unless you have a proof that he's talking about liquid. Otherwise, I'm assuming he's talking about.
Right. No, I'm assuming.
Right here, you have a proof. Right here, you have a proof. You're cracking open the egg onto the mustard seed. Doesn't say you have to eat it right away. According to you, you should have to do it. Eat it.
Well, whatever.
Why? I mean, the meal, beer coming off from shul, something. He doesn't say anything about that. Okay. Sorry?
Like, you're separating again the job and I don't want the white stuff, the waste. That's the sustenance, right? That's the resource that Hashem gave us. I just think about my head like this will be nice, like being baltashit if I waste it.
Is it bal tashchis to throw out the white of an egg?
Or
I tell my kids that it is.
Or
I mean, they don't throw out the white; they throw out the yellow. But it's an interesting question.
Or anything else in related food.
It's specifically like the white. They like the yellow and not the white.
No. They
For
like
example,
the white, not the
any
yellow.
kind of food, any kind of food.
Together.
Like
Put it this way: you shouldn't waste food, but that doesn't mean you have to eat food that you don't like. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't waste it. You should try to find somebody else to eat it, or you know what I'm saying. But you don't have
being able to do so. Let's say, for example, you're doing this procedure, and you know that you have 5 whites of an egg. So should you save it in a bowl and put it in the fridge, wrap it up?
Make pavlova.
Yeah,
I'm sure your wife makes pavlova.
I don't know how much turkey you have to go through not to waste. I don't know. You shouldn't waste wantonly, but I don't know how much turkey you have to go through. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really sure about
Well,
that.
here it's either just keeping it or not.
Right, but the question is, if you don't foresee anybody that wants it, you have to go find, call. I don't know.
Use the eggs on the day. It's easier to
If you have some, if you'll have a use for it, definitely you should.
Egg whites can be frozen, and egg yolks can be frozen if you add sugar or salt, depending on what you're going to use them for. Egg whites are useful for making meringue and pavlova, and egg yolks are often used in challahs, and you can make creme caramel as well.
Yes, I hear you.
So that's what I tend to do.
I hear you. All right. Va'af im hoya hasinun b'shvil ha'achila. I'm reading Chav Beis. Lo hoya aser ela kan sha'achel boin af sheshem oichel alav mikol makom in roi lo oichel kach kamoy shehu. V'gamri gilin la'ashlichim ma'apsoiles lachein onir k'psoiles l'gabei chaman nachal kamoy shehu machardo. Vasam li b'sefer. Al binyan achri nisur klal afilu li b'sefer m'beres min oichel echad. Hainu afilu boyer chatiches ketanas v'ten chatiches bilat ksas. Actually, even if the filtering is performed for the sake of eating, it would not be forbidden except in such an instance. For the egg white, even though it is considered as food, is nevertheless not fit to be eaten in its raw state, or what is common to cast away together with the waste matter. Therefore, it appears unresolvable matter in relation to the egg yolk, which is eaten in a raw state together with the mustard. Hence, it is forbidden to separate a raw egg white from the raw yolk for the sake of eating the yolk, according to rabbinic law. Listen carefully. Really, they're one food. Really, they're the same food. But because it's normal to eat the yellow, even if it's raw, because like they did here, and it's not normal to eat the white, so therefore, if you would separate between them for the sake of eating one and not the other, like he's saying here, it would be a problem. Only reason it's not a problem here is because you're only doing it for color. If you would be doing it for taste, it would be a problem. But that's only because it's in people's eyes, the way people behaved in those days. Yeah, they took one, they left the other. So that's why it looks like you're doing boyer. In other instances, by contrast, there's no prohibition at all, even according to rabbinic law, when one separates one food from another, when both are the same type of food. Even when one separates small pieces from slightly larger pieces, and even when he casts the smaller pieces to the ground, this does not cause them to be deemed as undesirable matter, since the small pieces are fit to be eaten and it's common to eat them. In other words, here, because it was normal to throw out the white and keep the yellow, so if you would do it for the sake of eating, it would look like boyer. But if you choose to throw out small pieces of hamantash and keep the big pieces, that's not going to make the small pieces into psoilas. They are oichel, they're regular oichel, there's nothing wrong with them. Just because you have a mishagas and you're throwing them out doesn't make it psoilas. So that wouldn't be considered an act of boyer. All right?
So how does that relate to this case right here? Is this
How
like
does that relate to this case right here? That relates that when it comes to a boiled egg, there is no boyer between white and yellow, because boiled egg, people eat both. You understand? So there's no, it's the same food. It doesn't make a difference if you throw out one and eat the other. You understand?
So this is why you can peel a carrot or a cucumber, because people eat both. Or even an apple.
The peels, you mean?
Yeah, like apple peels people eat.
It's not so simple. It's not so simple. I didn't really look into it before this class, so hopefully I'll touch upon it next week. But some say you cannot peel those things unless it's right before eating, because the people generally don't eat the peels. They'll eat an unpeeled apple, they'll eat an unpeeled carrot or cucumber, but once you peel it, they won't eat those peels.
My kids will eat it.
Okay.
So in this case here, like in the last case, we said that if we wanted to pour out, get rid of the white, so we can get the yolk to be able to pour onto the mustard to make it yellower. But here in this case, it seems kind of like the same thing. You're still getting rid of the white to get the yolk, but instead of coloring, you're going to eat the yolk. So, but then, and you also said that, I think if you wanted to save the white for later, then this would be okay. So just trying to separate all this jumble here.
What he said is, if you're separating between the white and the yellow, and you're eating the yellow, and you're throwing out the white, then it looks like separating by rabbinic law.
But if you're not throwing out the white but saving it for later, then is that okay?
If you're not throwing it out, but you are saving it for later, then it would be okay, yes.
Okay.
Or, like he says, if you're separating, but not for the sake of eating one, but just for using the one for coloring, then it's also okay.
I'm gonna try to get 10.
Oh, okay. Should I text Al-Khanan? I've never heard back from him.
I guess I got confused again. So when you're separating for the sake of coloring, even though you're pouring out, even though you're throwing out the white, that's okay. When you're actually like cracking an egg open and pouring out the white and saving the yellow for coloring, that's...
Sorry, one more time?
You crack the egg in half, and then you pour out the white, and then use the yellow to color the food. And that's okay. And doing it that way.
That's okay too, yeah.
Wow. Okay, because you're okay. I guess I'll have to digest that because you're coloring it rather than eating it. That's the difference.
I don't think it only applies when you're coloring. I think even if you're eating it, if you crack open an egg and you let the white fall out and you hold the yellow in, that's called taking the good from the bad if you want the yellow. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, but and that's usher.
No, if you want the yellow and you're going to eat it right away, that's mutter.
But
you take what you want from what you don't want.
But it sounds like from the Alter Rebbe number Chaf base, it sounds to me like that's what he's talking about. Like it's the egg white's the waste matter. So
yeah, because over here you're using a strainer, so therefore it would be usher if you would be doing it for the sake of eating as opposed to coloring. But if you use the shell,
okay,
which is like an extension of your hands, then it would be okay if you're taking the good from the bad.
Okay, I get it. I missed the filtering part. Okay, thanks.
Sure.
What meant the balsamic of the suffering? To which point?
To separate between the white and the yellow for the sake of eating. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, first the Machaber.
I did not get it.
Okay, I texted off and we'll see what he says. Okay. The Machaber continues and he says, Tazayin, Mayim sheish beim teloy mutar l'shtois v'nagdei mapa b'Shabbos l'shar borer u'mashamer l'masaken yikorim achilo shasiya aval im b'shas shasiya ma'akev es apsoiles leikonos es apiv ein ze me'in malacha u'mutar. If you have water that has worms in it, and you don't want to drink those worms, maybe it's even forbidden to drink the worms. In some cases, it depends how the worms developed. In the water, outside the water, if the water is connected, if it's in kalim or in the karka.
It's a sheretz.
Yeah, it could be. Could be it's a sheretz to drink it.
The water is not good.
Could be. So now you want to filter them out. So you want to filter it out with a mappa, with a cloth. So you're going to put a cloth over the cup, and you're going to drink through the cloth. Alter Rebbe says it's no problem. You're using a cloth. How do you filter with a cloth? And you're filtering something that you need to filter. It's not like we said before, some things you don't need to filter, it's not so bad. No, you need to filter. So what's the heter? So the Mechaber explains. Boyer is when you do it before eating or drinking, but not while you're actually drinking. If you hold back the psolis from coming into your mouth as you drink, that's not called boyer. That's called a way to eat.
Basically, if you're going to like instead of discuss with the pitcher or with the ice, you drink with the pitcher directly.
Exactly. Make sure nobody's watching.
Why we don't use like a cup with the wine, with the cup, those pieces. We said we're to pour little bit, leave the not all the way, and then drink only water without the light.
Well, here you have to make sure even one worm doesn't come through. You need a cloth because you have to make sure even one worm over there.
Take another cup and pour another cup. Give it to the worm.
You can, but it's much harder. When it comes to wine with dregs, if some fall over, big deal. But the worms, you can't have any coming through. You want to do a very good job.
So you're allowed to put some serenade.
Yeah.
So wait,
No.
you're allowed to do it only if you drink it directly. You can't do it like on.
We can't do it in advance.
Pour it to a cup.
No, cannot do it in advance. That would be an
You don't
issue.
even need the cup.
Makes no difference. That would be an issue d'oraisa. Mamish issue d'oraisa. Water that contains worms that are forbidden to be eaten, as will be explained in Yerodea section 84. You have to learn that to know what worms are asr. Chav Gimel and the Alter Rebbe. Asr l'sanan nafilu b'sudar. You are not allowed to strain them even with a cloth, because you're not allowed to drink them without straining, because you might swallow one of them.
So it's the opposite from the.
No, he's talking about straining before you drink it.
Oh.
You took a picture of it?
No, I have to take a picture. Let's not wait for David Leib to come back.
All together?
Wait, yeah, but wait for David Leib. I want as many people here. Amud l'shtosim al mappa mipnei she'ein isabar
A white shirt.
she'ein isabar. I'm getting all your photos, by the way. Amud l'shtosim al mappa mipnei she'ein isabar misham alo b'masakin ein yikodem achila shesiya she'iroi la'achila l'shesiya she'zer derech malach. It is, however, permitted to drink the water via a cloth. The rationale is that the prohibition against separating and sifting applies only when one is improving the food or drink before one eats or drinks it, making it fit to be eaten or drunk. In such an instance, one is performing a labor which is forbidden, when by contrast one prevents undesirable matter from entering his mouth while drinking. This does not resemble the performance of a labor and is permitted. Okay, now the Alter Rebbe brings in something the Mechaber didn't mention, but the Mefarshim do. The activity should not be forbidden because one is soaking a cloth. Someone is coming. Oh, you have 10 also? Thank you.
Baruch Hashem, so 11, amen, amen.
And you won't fall asleep.
Okay, the activity should not be forbidden because one is soaking a cloth and that is considered as laundering it, nor should it be forbidden because of a decree lest one squeeze out the water. The rationale is that only a small portion of the cloth becomes soaked in the water, only enough to place one's mouth over it, and such concerns do not apply when only a small portion of the cloth becomes soaked, as explained in section 302. That source cites authorities who maintain that it is forbidden to soak even a small portion of a cloth, because soaking even a small portion is considered as laundering. Those authorities also forbid using cloth as a filter in this instance. It was already explained in that source that a meticulous person should be stringent with regard to his own conduct when possible. Okay, my friends, listen carefully. We had 3 opinions in Siman Shin Beis about putting water on a clean cloth. Some say, regardless, there's no problem. Putting water on a clean cloth is not cleaning because it's already clean. Some say, no, you cannot. You can only do it if it's derech lichluch. You can only like wipe your hands dry on it, which is derech lichluch, which is a way of dirtying. And then there was another opinion that says, well, you can do it, even if it's not derech lichluch, but only a small amount. If you remember, I think the Maharam said that. And he was the one that said you have to empty all the drops off your hand before you dry your hands, as much as possible. So it should be only a davar mud. It should only be a small amount. So the bottom line is, the Alter Rebbe is saying here that the reason you're allowed to drink with a strainer is because, and why are we concerned that that you're cleaning the garment? Because a small amount. First of all, it's a clean garment, assuming it's a clean garment. And second of all, even though someone's strict with a clean garment, but it's a small amount, so it's okay. Now, some are stricter with it and say even a small amount on a clean garment is still awesome. Okay. Those that hold of that will not strain water through a garment. Unless, by the way, he doesn't spell it out here, unless it is a garment that is meyuchad lekach. If it is designated for straining water, then it's for sure not considered cleaning, kibbutz, because that's just the way you use it. We had that Torah before, if you remember, concerning the straining of wine. Same thing. All right, my friends, Chav Daled, in Naflu Zvufim Lekois. This is in the Mechaber, in the Alter Rebbe, not in the Mechaber, so it's just the Alter Rebbe. Exactly. Im Naflu Zvufim Lekois, lo yetze zum var min hakois, shayze keboy obses b'choichel. Shas afil grelechel miyad, alika gam min hamashke ktsas imoim, shal ze nenir keboy klak l'shbar l'mayim. If flies onto a cup, one should remove only the flies on the cup. The rationale is that in that instance, it is as if one is separating undesirable matter from food, which is forbidden even if he intends to eat the food immediately. Instead, one should pour out some of the liquid with the flies. What? With all due respect to Rabbi Tang. I don't know how he translates this. I mean, instead one should pour out some of the liquid with the flies. Well, where does he get this translation from? In the Shulchan Aruch, he passes like the Taz. That's correct. Yikach min hamashke means he should take some of the liquid, not that he should pour it. With all due respect to Rabbi Tager, he got it wrong here. Alter Rebbe doesn't say to pour it. He says to take it out. In the Siddur, like I said yesterday, he says to pour it. He changed his mind over there. He says to pour it. Here he says to take it out. And we already went into that yesterday. I did see an interesting psak here in the Dirshu. I think it's from Eval Yashiv. That if a cork falls into wine, it's not bored to take it out.
It's some. Because there's no food.
Some cork onto one.
No, piece of the cork, not just little pieces. Actual piece of the cork.
A little piece of the cork.
No, not little pieces. The cork.
Oh, fell to a cup one.
Yeah.
Because there's no food.
No, because the cork isn't mixed in like the fly is mixed in. The fly, has wings and legs, and so it's mixed. The cork is just sitting there. It's not mixed.
Floating.
It's floating.
If it was the curry, you need to use it to put them out.
Yeah, but even if you don't need it, you finish the bottle. You don't need it. You're taking it out because it's in the way. He says that it's not a problem. And I came across this also in a sefer called Hilchos Shabbos. And I mentioned this in the beginning of Hilchos Borer, that he says that the whole thing of the flies is only because they're small. So even though the Maharitza Halon, we said yesterday, says that even flies are not considered mixed. But many Acharonim say it is, like the Taz, the Rebbe. But a big piece is not considered mixed according to all opinions. That's what the Hilchos Shabbos says. So that's going together with this also. Cork is a big piece compared to the cup. So that's another reason to be lenient. Okay. Back to the Mechaber. HaMechabitz, Pirsha Moitzi HaChema Min HaCholov, told his boyer who. He translates Mechabitz as one who causes milk to curdle, is a tulda of boyer. Moed is not an Isser Deraisa. Boyer is. So how do you make cheese? You put enzymes into the milk, and that causes it to curdle and separate the curds from the whey. That's the Isser Deraisa. Isser Deraisa.
No, it's the baby stomach, right?
The baby cow stomach.
Oh, the cow?
Yeah.
Baby cows.
They used to use that. The fikach av bishim noisnim shum shemim. V'hagoyzim ledvash leichavtzim biyadai. Even though you can put sesame and walnuts into honey, you should not separate them by hand. The way the Mishnah Berurah understands this is that they used to put it in honey, and then they used to separate it out from the honey. They would kind of squeeze the honey out of it. And that is not allowed because that's also boyer.
You can use a spoon to take the gozim out.
Just take it out, yeah, but not to squeeze it out.
What's happening here? You're mixing the nuts and the sesame seeds together, and then you're taking it out by hand. I don't understand what's going on.
You're pressing the honey out of it. I don't know exactly what the purpose of it is. I mean,
it's making a candy probably. It's like sesame candies.
I guess they're making some kind of candy, but you don't want too much honey in it. So they would press out the honey, I guess, just to have a small amount of honey. I don't know. I don't know exactly how this worked. But it sounds like they wanted some honey in it, obviously, if they put it into the honey, but they didn't want too much honey in it. So the yechabtzim biyadav is some kind of pressing it to get out the honey.
Baby cow stomach is the only one we can have enough to eat.
Yeah. Even that is not so simple, but there are ways to do it. There are ways to make cheese out of a kosher cow's stomach. There are ways. Although,
one ear.
Yeah, after it's dried. Correct.
Is a tolda of a malaka considered a delraisa?
Yes.
Like in this case. So then what is the difference between that and the Rabbanan then? How do you filter down to the Rabbanan?
Right. And Rabbanan is something that is not similar to the Av enough to be a D'oraisa. It's only forbidden because it could appear to be or could lead to it, but it's not the actual thing. A tulda is considered so similar that it's included in the Torah's actual law. And finally, the last halacha in the Siman, which is what the Ramah says, Haroikik baruach b'Shabbos v'haruach mefaza haroik chayiv mishum zara. A person who spits into the wind on Shabbos, and the wind separates the saliva, is chayiv for zara.
Oh,
big chiddush.
Wow. Some people do that like this.
Be careful. If you spit into the wind, and the wind separates the spit into little droplets, chayiv mishum zoyra, the Ramah says.
Is it on purpose? Or you should not spit?
If you don't do it on purpose, sorry, you mean it's like a mlacha davashan skaven? Is that what you mean? Psikresha. If it's a strong wind and it's psikresha, it's still awesome. If it's not a psikresha, it should be mutter because it's davashan skaven. But if it's a psikresha, it should be a problem. I'm getting a headache, so I got to take this thing off.
I haven't heard the word.
It's just in my head.
Rabbi, I think you should put it closer to your mouth.
I know, but then my beard makes noise on it.
But then it doesn't work.
I know. But my wife bought it for me, so I have to use it. Okay. Hamachabit says Alter Rebbe Dana Shalekech Cholav Neisnabak Keva Kvel Chabtzoi Chayav Mishum Boirer Shahif Shakuf Akum Nacholav Chinam Rasan Hakoim Besoich Klik Mi Umeachol Nechum Besoicha Hari Zetuldas Boirer Echum Techapselis and Napuk Por Chayav. Av Bishakum Bachol Shneim in Echol Echad Ve'in Kamselis Klal Pikein Hoylem Drom Lachem Shem Sorv Myofa Umafridan Yesh Bazem Mishum Boirer K'mei B'mafrid Echol Mepselis. Excuse me. One who causes milk to curdle, i.e., he takes milk and inserts a piece of an animal's stomach in it, causing it to curdle, is liable for separating, for he separates the curds from the milk. Okay, now there's halachic shilas with putting animal stomach into milk, obviously, because one is milchix and one is fleshix. And if it's a non-kosher stomach, the resulting product is actually treif. If it's a kosher animal stomach, it's only not allowed lechatchila, b'di'efet it's mutter, unless it was dried out, like you said, 12 months, then it would be mutter actually. But in any case, regardless of the basar b'cholav issue, we have the issue of boyer. Similarly, if he places curds in a reed container, and thus the whey will drip from it, he's performing a derivative of the forbidden labor of separating food from undesirable matter by means of a strain or a sieve and is liable. So if you have a reed container, like a reed basket, and you put the cottage cheese into it, so that the liquid part of it drains away and you're left with just the curds, and then you can make a more solid cheese. That's also part of boyer, and that's also on the Torah level. Now here the Alter Rebbe answers a question. We just finished saying that white and yellow of the egg are all part of the same food, and there's no issue with boyer. So why are we even talking about boyer here? Curds, whey, it's all milk, it's all good. It's all the same. So why are we saying there's any boyer issue? Listen carefully to the answer. True, both the curds and milk are two types of the same food and there's no waste matter at all. Nevertheless, this is considered separating since they are moist entities which can be thoroughly mixed together. The separation of them is comparable to separating food from undesirable matter. Listen to this chiddush. I forget who says it. Maybe it's the Magen Avraham. Listen to this chiddush. When you have a liquid that you separate and make into two different things, like cottage cheese, where you make the solid and the liquid parts, that is boyer, even if it's one liquid. Butter? What are you talking about butter? What are you talking about butter?
Sometimes the cottage, there's liquid, and you have to pour the liquid and leave the cottage.
Sorry?
You know, the cottage, sometimes it's like a liquid in a tub. If you're sitting...
I'll address that in a minute. But here we're talking about making the cottage cheese. So when you take a liquid where everything is mixed and there's no difference between them, and you cause it to separate into two parts, that is considered boyer, even if it's only one food. See what I'm saying? Because that's a very significant act, to take liquid which is thoroughly mixed together and separate it into two different aspects. That's serious boyer. You know what I'm saying? Okay, as far as tipping out the liquid of the cottage cheese, allowed or not allowed?
Is it materially different to pouring wine with a fly in it out of a cup? I'm sure some people drink it as well.
I have three opinions here for you. And I'm not sure if the Alter Rebbe agrees with any of them. But here Rav Elyashiv says you can pour it only together with some of the yogurt or some of the cottage cheese. You know what I'm saying? You can only pour the water out if you have something else with it. Number two, Rabbi Karelet says that if they're totally separate, then you can pour it out. Like sometimes on like the yogurts, you'll have liquid on the top, yogurt on the bottom. So it's like it's not even, doesn't even appear to be mixed. Then you can pour it out. Shvis Shabbos says that since some people eat both, it's considered, most people eat both, it's considered the same type of food. Okay, so that's all good and fine. No, if it's one type of food, it's one type of food. But give me to next week to get back to you about the Alter position on that. 26. Vim gibnoi in the Alter Rebbe. Vim gibnoi vaso gvina. Chayiv mishum boina. Shekol ha-makabetz chelik al chelik v'dibek ha-kol ha-chiasa gufechon. As I told his boina. If he curdled the milk until it formed cheese, he is liable for performing the forbidden labor of building. For anyone who assembles different elements, joining them one to another and causing them to be attached until they become one mass, is performing a derivative of the forbidden labor of building.
So wait, okay. You have two types of salad. Let's say take hummus and take tchina and mix them together. To eat it.
Mm-hmm. What's a boina? What's a boina?
What?
How is this boina?
Types of salad? Why is that boina? I don't know what you said.
Here, like that, you're mixing the two, the gvina.
Hmm?
שכל מקבץ חלק אל חלק, תדבק הכל עד שנעשה גוף אחד, הרי זה תולד בו.
If you take milk and you turn it into cheese, so it's a thing that is liquid, and you make it, you turn it into a solid, like you make jello. If you make jello on Shabbos, that would be boina. If you make yogurt, you have these yogurt machines, you put in milk in cups in this machine, which has a temperature less than Yatzel lettuce boy, and you leave it in there for 9 hours. You wake up in the morning to fresh yogurt. Amachaya. Mamish. Somebody asked me, what about doing it on Shabbos? What's the malacha? You take a cup of milk before you go to sleep on Friday night. Take a cup of milk. You put it in a machine that's already on. It's not going to reach out to the lettuce boy. In the morning, you come back, you'll have fresh yogurt. Boina. It's boina. Even though it's a soft cheese, not a hard cheese, but it's still boina. You're taking milk and you're turning it into something semi-solid. We have 2 minutes left, and I do need to pause and say l'chaim. Or at least pretend we're saying l'chaim.
Maybe let's go, maybe finish the Siman in 1 minute. You're worried about finish Chavav, say a short section.
Abaya, that, Abaya.
You don't have a minyan, I wait for the minyan.
No, the problem is, Chav Zayin, Chav Ches HaGedu, but Chav Tes is going to take us a while. Because Zohra is a discussion. The Mishnah Berurah disagrees with this psak, and he says it's mutter, and it's not going to be, we're not going to be able to finish anyway. It's too complicated.
If somebody has a coffee machine,
Yeah.
let's say for the people who say you're allowed to use timers, if someone has a coffee machine, then you pre-boil water in the coffee machine.
Together?
Yeah, I'll sit here.
No, they come to you.
No. Well,
Everybody,
Natural. Yeah, go ahead. What are you saying?
after somebody will take us a picture. Coffee machine. Mr. Ken, everybody, cheese.
It's all done.
Chaim.
Hey, let him take the picture. David, do you mind taking the picture?
Yeah, sure. Three pictures at the same time.
I need us to get this part.
Three. Everybody, cheese.
1, 2, 3. Make a different face or something.
How are you doing?
There we go.
Really good one.
Yeah, what's the question?
Pictures or
Someone video.
I don't know if that coffee
Baruch
machine.
Hashem.
One is a coffee machine, pre-boiled
That must
water.
make sense.
And this is how time to cook on Shabbos. To make coffee on Shabbos. All right.
All right, Racham. No, it's enough. It's enough.
אני עושה איתך. אני עושה. Ready?
Add something to it, or what do you do?
Machine, I guess.
Just do it for yourself.
Very good, thank
To
you.
me?
Excited.
Okay.
Wait, check.
You walked away, Rabbi, you walked away.
I guess that's the end of it.
I think you're right. Okay.
See you next week.
Okay. It sounds like you're quite a chef.
Yeah, I used to work in food many years ago. I still do a lot of cooking.
Oh, okay. Well, it sounds good. Maybe one day we'll meet and we'll have something to eat
Would
together.
be nice.
Yeah.
Would be nice to make it to Florida at some point.
Yeah. I'm actually in Los Angeles.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you live in Florida before?
No. A friend of mine in shul heard about the program, so I just joined right after Pesach.
Ah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so you joined for the beginning of Shabbos, did you?
Correct.
Okay, right. So yeah, I've done brachas so far, birchas hanenin, basar v'chalav, nida, and now Shabbos.
Oh wow! So you've gone through the whole program.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Good.
It changes the way you do things. You realize that there are a whole lot of things that you can do that you didn't think you were able to, and a whole lot of things that seemed okay but maybe aren't.
Right. So what's it like getting the exam from Rabbi Bosner? Like how, what's that experience?
Well, you have to know what you're talking about. And he's a lovely person. He's very gentle when you don't know something.
Right.
He's looking for you to win, not to lose. But if you don't know what you're talking about, then he will politely tell you that maybe you should learn a bit more.
Okay. So I guess as long as you know the basic concepts and how things work, then that's what he's looking for. It's not like if you've memorized every halacha here and there, I guess.
Well, you don't necessarily need to know who says every single opinion.
Right.
On every small thing, like who is it who says that? But you do need to know what the various opinions are, and but maybe not the fringe, really obscure stuff, but the main things certainly.
Like the Mogan Abraham or Taz, or some of the contemporary
Yeah, so you don't have to know, that Auerbach says this and Rav Moshe says that, but you have to know that this is the main halacha. There are different opinions, and the Shach and the Taz have differing views, but it's not where some on every point you might have 5 or 8 slightly different takes on something. You don't need to know all of that. You don't need to remember all that, but you do need to know. But some people disagree and say you can do this. But the important thing is that you know the main halacha, and that usually does it.
Okay. How long does the test last usually? Like,
each person is tested for maybe 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh, does he do it in a group or with the whole class?
Yeah, he goes through and asks each person.
Oh, okay. I thought like he's gonna like drill you.
No,
one-to-one call or something.
No, that's at the end. That one I haven't seen yet. That's where you presumably get about an hour of testing on everything.
Oh,
That's what I'm dreading.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
See you next week.
Okay. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.